Evan Cross stepped onto the alien moon of Varkos with a simple plan. He wanted to finish his engineering contract, earn money, and return to Earth. He never expected that his first hour on this moon would change his entire life. The grand hall was loud and crowded, filled with glowing alien nobles wearing long robes and carrying strange weapons. Evan stood alone, confused but calm. He was used to being invisible. He liked it that way. But today, invisibility ended. A deep, sudden silence swept across the hall. Hundreds of glowing eyes slowly turned toward him. The music stopped. The air felt heavy. Evan froze in place as every alien stared at him like he had broken an ancient rule. He felt his heartbeat in his ears. Something was wrong, and he had no idea what it was. At the center of the hall stood Princess Liara. Everyone knew her reputation. She was the heir to the Varkian Empire. She was powerful, dangerous, and feared by almost every species in the galaxy. Her armor glowed faint purple, and her eyes were sharp like crystal blades. When she moved, even the strongest alien warriors stepped aside. And now she raised her arm and pointed directly at the human standing alone in the back. "That human is my husband," she said in a cold, clear voice. "He just does not know it yet." The entire room exploded into whispers. Some aliens gasped. Others stepped back in fear. A few covered their mouths with trembling hands. No one expected this. Humans were rare visitors in this part of the galaxy. No human had ever been claimed by a royal. It was unheard of. Evan stared back at the princess. He had never seen her before. He had no idea why she would say something like that. His chest tightened. His hands began to shake. He whispered to himself, "What is happening?" Alien guards rushed toward him. Their heavy footsteps shook the floor. Evan tried to move back, but the doors sealed with a loud metallic slam. He was trapped. The guards surrounded him, weapons ready. The princess walked closer, her eyes locked on him with dangerous confidence. She looked like someone who was used to taking what she wanted. "Wait," Evan said, raising his hands, "I do not even know you." The princess smiled, calm and sure. "You will." Two guards grabbed Evan's arms. He struggled, but they were stronger. The entire hall watched him like a rare animal caught in a royal hunt. Some aliens whispered warnings to each other. A human cannot refuse a royal claim. Does the princess understand what she is doing? She will start a war for that human. Evan's fear grew. He felt like he was drowning, surrounded by strangers, with no escape. He wanted to shout. He wanted to explain that he had nothing to do with this. But no one listened. No one ever listened in a royal hall. As he was dragged forward, the princess stepped closer until she stood right in front of him. She leaned in slightly and whispered, "You saved my life once. I never forgot." Her voice was soft but full of meaning. Evan blinked. He had never saved anyone, especially not an alien princess. Before he could ask anything, the princess raised her hand and ordered the guards to take him to the royal court. She did not give him time to think or breathe. She controlled everything like a storm that never slowed down. The guards pulled him away from the center of the hall. He heard the crowd shouting in panic and surprise. Some tried to stop the guards. Others argued loudly. But nothing mattered anymore. His fate was already in motion. As he was dragged through the massive door, Evan looked back one last time. The princess was watching him with a strange expression. Not cruelty. Not anger. Something else. Something he could not understand. And then the doors closed behind him, locking him inside a future he never asked for. The human had no idea, but this was only the beginning. The royal court would soon decide whether he lived, or whether he belonged to the princess forever. Evan sat in the middle of a massive stone courtroom, his hands still shaking from what happened in the grand hall. The room felt ancient, like it had existed for thousands of years. Tall alien statues stood on each side, each one carved with glowing symbols he did not understand. Alien nobles filled the seats above him, whispering and judging him with their bright, sharp eyes. He felt like a criminal on trial, even though he had done nothing wrong. Princess Liara stood at the front, calm and tall, her armor shining under the cold blue lights. She looked like she was carved from solid metal, unbreakable and fearless. Beside her, the Empress, the ruler of the Varkian Empire, watched Evan with a hard, unreadable stare. The Empress's presence alone made the air heavy. She had power that did not need words. Evan swallowed hard. He wondered if today was the day he would die. The court began with loud, angry voices. Why did the princess claim a human? A human cannot be a royal mate. Humans are weak. This is dangerous. Remove him before he becomes a threat. The voices echoed through the hall like thunder. Evan felt the weight of every word. He wanted to shout back, to defend himself, but fear locked his throat. He could only sit and listen as strangers fought over his life. Finally, the Empress raised her hand. The entire courtroom fell silent at once. Even the walls seemed to hold their breath. Princess Liara, the Empress said, explain your claim. Liara stepped forward. Her expression softened for the first time. She looked at Evan as if she saw something no one else could see. Then she turned toward the court. Years ago, she said, there was a secret battle near Earth. My ship was destroyed. I fell through the atmosphere with fire around me. I should have died. Her voice dropped lower. But I survived because a human pulled me from the wreck and dragged me to safety. A wave of shock passed through the crowd. Evan stared at her, confused. He had never rescued anyone. He had never been near any battle. In fact, he had spent most of his life fixing broken machines and avoiding danger. Liara continued, he did not know who I was. He did not wait for thanks. He simply saved me and disappeared. Her voice trembled, barely noticeable. I swore I would find him again. Evan's chest tightened. The story made no sense. I did not save anyone, he whispered. Liara heard him. She looked at him with strange sadness. You may not remember. Humans forget what they think is normal. But to me, it changed everything. The court erupted again. This is impossible. No human could survive such a fall. She must be mistaken. The Empress raised her hand again, silencing the room. She stared at Evan with eyes that could cut through steel. Human, she said slowly, are you the one who saved the princess? Evan shook his head. No. I am just an engineer. I fix machines. I do not fight. I do not take part in battles. I never saved anyone. Liara watched him closely. Her jaw tightened. She refused to look away. He saved me, she repeated firmly. Even if he does not remember. The Empress studied them both. Then she spoke a single command. Test him. Guards moved instantly. They grabbed Evan by the arms and pulled him to the center of the room. Metal rings rose from the floor, surrounding him. Strange energy lights flickered in the air. Evan felt fear crawl up his spine. What are you doing? No harm, the Empress said. Only truth. The machine scanned him. A bright pulse shot through the air. Evan squeezed his eyes shut. His heart hammered in his chest. Then the machine beeped. The court leaned forward. A hologram appeared above Evan, an image of a burning alien ship falling through Earth's sky. Thick smoke. Fire. A broken escape pod. A figure running through the flames. The figure was human. The figure had Evan's face. Evan opened his eyes and stared in horror. He remembered nothing, yet the proof floated above him. The nobles gasped. Liara's eyes softened with painful relief. The Empress stood slowly. So, she said, the human did save her. Evan felt the world tilt around him. Everything he believed about his own life suddenly shifted. Liara stepped closer. Her voice was gentle but firm. "I told you," she whispered. "I never forgot." The court began shouting again, anger, fear, chaos. But Evan barely heard any of it. His eyes stayed on the hologram. If he really saved her. If he really was the reason she lived. Then everything was about to change. This was no longer about a random claim. It was destiny. Evan sat on the edge of a metal bed inside the royal guest chamber, trying to understand his own memories. The hologram from the courtroom still echoed in his mind. A burning ship. Fire falling from the sky. A human silhouette dragging someone through smoke. His silhouette. How could he forget something like that? He rubbed his forehead, feeling lost. He had lived an ordinary life on Earth. No battles. No heroic acts. No princesses. And yet the hologram showed a past he did not know he had. Something inside him felt heavy, like a locked door in his mind had not opened yet. Outside his room, alien guards guarded every corner. He was not a prisoner, but he was not free either. The palace walls watched him like silent giants. Everything was too shiny, too colorful, too alien. He felt small inside this world. The door slid open without warning. Princess Liara stepped in. Her armor was removed now. She wore simple royal clothing, soft and light. Without armor, she looked less terrifying, but her presence still filled the whole room. Evan stood up quickly. "Do you need something?" "No," she said. "I only want to understand you." Her voice was calmer than before. She walked closer, studying him with curious eyes, as if he were a rare creature she had waited years to see. "You really do not remember saving me?" she asked. Evan shook his head. "I only remember fixing machines and trying to avoid trouble. That is all." Her expression became thoughtful. "Humans are strange. Your memories hide things you think are normal. But to me, that day was not normal. It was everything." Evan did not know what to say. Her honesty made his chest tighten. She was feared across the galaxy, but right now she looked almost vulnerable. Before he could speak, a loud alarm echoed through the palace. A sharp red light flashed across the walls. Liara's eyes widened. Assassins. Evan felt his stomach drop. Assassins? For what? For you, she said. And for me. There are many who do not want us alive. The door suddenly exploded inward. 3 shadow-like intruders rushed into the room. Their bodies were covered in black armor, and they moved fast, too fast for Evan's eyes to track. Liara reacted instantly. She leaped forward, striking one attacker with a force that cracked the floor. But another assassin charged toward Evan, raising a glowing blade. Evan froze. His mind raced. He had no weapon. He had no training. He was just a human engineer. But something inside him snapped awake. His body moved before his mind did. He grabbed a heavy metal pipe from the floor, part of a machine he had been repairing earlier, and swung it with full force. The blade missed his face by inches. His pipe hit the assassin's arm, knocking the weapon loose. The assassin hissed in shock. Evan swung again, harder this time, hitting the attacker's chest. The alien stumbled back, surprised that a fragile human could strike with such instinct and speed. Liara stared at Evan for a second, shocked, impressed, almost speechless. She had expected him to hide behind her. But he was fighting beside her. The third assassin jumped from above, aiming at Liara. Evan did not think. He dove forward, tackling the alien mid-air, slamming him into the wall. Pain shot up Evan's shoulder, but he held the attacker down long enough for Liara to smash the ground beside them, stunning the intruder with a shockwave. The assassins retreated, disappearing into smoke as guards finally stormed in. But their message had been clear. Someone wanted Evan dead. As the room settled, Liara walked toward him slowly. Her eyes were wide, her chest rising with heavy breaths. She touched his arm gently. "You fought without fear," she said. Evan wiped sweat from his forehead. "No. I fought because I did not want to die." She shook her head. "You fought to protect. That is the human way." He looked down. He did not feel brave. He felt terrified. But her voice carried a deep warmth he had not heard before. "For years," she said softly, "I believed humans were fragile. But now I see something else. Something powerful." Evan swallowed hard. "What do you see?" Liara's voice dropped almost to a whisper. "I see the same courage you showed the day you saved me." Evan felt his heart beat faster. Something bright and strange warmed the space between them. But the warmth did not last long. A guard entered and bowed. "Princess, there is more. We found a message. The assassins are part of a larger group. Someone inside the palace ordered the attack." Liara's face hardened. "They want to kill him before I can bond with him." Evan felt cold fear creep up his spine. So this was not just about a forgotten rescue. This was about survival. And the entire Varkian Empire was turning against him. The palace felt different after the attack, tense, colder, and full of eyes that watched Evan like he did not belong. Guards moved in pairs. Doors were scanned twice before opening. Every hallway whispered danger. Evan walked beside Princess Liara, feeling the weight of every stare. He did not know who wanted him dead, but after what happened in his room, he knew the danger was real. Outside the palace, the entire Varkian Empire was talking about him. Screens across the city showed his face. Some aliens looked angry. Some shocked. Some disgusted. Evan had never imagined that one day an entire empire would debate his existence. Liara kept him close as they walked through the main royal corridor. Her steps were strong and confident, but Evan noticed the tightness in her hands. She was angry. A silent, burning type of anger that even the guards were afraid of. "They think I cannot protect you," she said softly. Evan lowered his voice. "Maybe they fear what happens if you do." Liara stopped walking. She turned toward him, her eyes glowing with a deep storm. "They fear you," she said. "They fear the idea of a human becoming part of the royal bloodline. They fear what that would change." She stepped closer. "But I do not fear you." Evan felt the air shift. Her honesty was heavy and warm at the same time. Before he could respond, a loud metallic roar filled the hall as a massive screen flickered on. The Empress appeared. Her voice commanded silence. "The royal court has reached a decision," she announced. "Human Evan Cross will be placed under royal protection. He will remain in the palace until further notice. Anyone who threatens him will be punished by law." Aliens in the hall reacted instantly. Some shouted in anger. Others backed away. A few stared at Evan with pure hatred. The Empress continued, "But to test his true intentions, he and Princess Liara will complete a mission together. Only after this test will his fate be decided." Evan felt his stomach twist. A mission? With assassins already hunting him? He did not want more danger. He only wanted answers. But Liara's reaction shocked him. She bowed her head to the Empress. "We accept." Evan stared at her. "We do." Liara nodded. "If you want freedom, this is the only path. You must prove to the Empire that you are not a threat." Evan sighed. "Why do I feel like no matter what I do, I am still in danger?" Because you are, she said honestly. They were escorted to a transport bay where a sleek battle shuttle waited. The crew bowed to Liara but stared at Evan like he was radioactive. He climbed aboard, feeling more alone than ever. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the shining palace behind. Through the window, Evan saw thousands of alien citizens gathered outside. Some held banners supporting the princess. Others held symbols rejecting the humans' presence. One sign caught his eye: no human blood in the royal future. Evan looked away, feeling a sharp pain inside his chest. He did not choose this. He did not want to replace anyone. He only wanted to live. Liara noticed his silence. Do not listen to them, she said. Their fear does not define you. Evan forced a small smile. It still hurts. Liara sat beside him. Fear always makes people cruel. But courage makes them see reason. She paused. You showed courage when you saved me. You showed it again during the attack. You will show it again on this mission. He stared out at the stars. I am not a warrior. No, she said softly. You are something stronger. The shuttle landed on a dark mining moon covered in fog and broken machinery. This place was abandoned long ago, but now someone was using it as a base for attacks against the royal family. The same group that tried to kill Evan. As they stepped into the cold air, Evan felt something strange, like the world was holding its breath. Liara looked around, her hand near her weapon. Stay close. This place is full of traps. Evan nodded, but something inside him whispered that danger was already here. Shadows moved behind the rocks. Mechanical eyes blinked in the darkness. A low metallic growl echoed through the air. The assassins were waiting. And this time, they were not alone. Cold wind swept across the abandoned mining moon as Evan and Princess Liara stepped deeper into the silent tunnels. The place felt alive in a dangerous way. Metal creaked. Pipes dripped. Shadows stretched like hungry creatures waiting to move. Evan stayed close to Liara, but something inside him felt different now, stronger, sharper. Every sound made him alert. Every step felt heavy with meaning. Liara looked back at him. Stay behind me. Evan shook his head. No. I am staying beside you. Something in her eyes softened for a brief moment, but she said nothing. They continued walking until they reached a massive chamber filled with broken machines and cracked floors. The air smelled like rust and danger. Then the lights flickered on. Dozens of armed assassins stood in a circle, waiting. Their armor was stronger. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. Evan felt his heartbeat spike. This was not an ambush. This was an execution. A tall figure stepped forward, the leader. His voice echoed through the chamber. You should have died in the palace, human. Now we will finish what we started. Evan felt fear grip him hard, but Liara stepped in front of him like a shield made of fire and steel. You will not touch him, she said, her voice sharp enough to cut metal. The leader laughed. You protect a human. You are the princess of the Varkian Empire. You deserve a warrior, not this weak creature. Evan expected Liara to attack, but instead she spoke calmly. He saved me. Twice. And he will stand with me again. Evan blinked. Twice. Liara turned her head slightly, her voice quiet but powerful. Once years ago, and once in that room. You fought without thinking. You protected me. Again. Evan felt warmth in his chest, mixed with fear. He was still confused about his past, but her words gave him courage he did not know he had. Before he could speak, the assassins charged. Liara moved first, fast, deadly, unstoppable. Her blade sliced through the air with violet light. Sparks flew. Metal clashed. Evan backed up, but one assassin broke away and charged straight toward him. Evan felt his body react again, like instinct stronger than fear. He dodged the first strike and grabbed a jagged metal bar from the ground. The assassin swung again, but Evan blocked it with surprising force. Pain rushed up his arm, but he held on. The assassin laughed. "You fight like an animal, wild but weak." Evan took a breath, stepped forward, and swung with everything he had. The strike hit the assassin's helmet, cracking it. The alien stumbled. Evan hit him again, pushing him back. Liara glanced at Evan mid-fight, her eyes wide, not in fear, but in pride. More assassins ran toward them. Evan and Liara stood back to back. She attacked with skill. He attacked with instinct. Their movements almost matched, like two parts of the same force. But the room began to shake. The assassins had activated the mining station's collapse protocol. Pipes exploded. Dust filled the air. The floor cracked under their feet. Liara grabbed Evan's arm. "We must leave." An explosion knocked them both down. Evan coughed, struggling to breathe. The chamber was falling apart. Metal beams crashed around them. Liara pushed debris off him, her hands shaking. She looked terrified, not for herself, but for him. "Evan, get up. Please." He forced himself to stand even though pain stabbed through his leg. The exit was blocked by fallen metal. They were trapped. Evan tried lifting a beam but his strength was failing. Liara joined him, her voice full of panic. "No, no, not like this." Evan looked at her, really looked. Behind the warrior armor, behind the royal title, she was just someone who did not want to lose him. Someone who had been waiting years to find him again. "Liara," he said softly, "why did you choose me? Out of every warrior, every prince, every strong alien, why a human like me?" Liara's voice broke. "Because you saved me when you did not have to. You looked at me like I was not a monster or a weapon. You looked at me like a person. And I never forgot that feeling." She closed her eyes. "I never wanted to claim you like an object. I wanted you to choose me, but I did not know how to ask." Evan felt emotion rise in his chest. He put his hand on her cheek gently. "I choose you," he said. "Not because of destiny. Not because of the past. But because now. I know who you are." Liara opened her eyes, tears glowing like crystal. Together, they pushed the metal beam one last time. It moved just enough. A narrow path opened. They escaped the collapsing chamber just before the entire station fell into darkness. Back at the royal palace, the Empress waited. Her voice was steady as she asked, "Human, do you accept the princess as your partner?" Evan looked at Liara, breathless, bruised, but smiling softly, the first real smile he had seen from her. "Yes," he said. "This time. I know." Liara lowered her head, overwhelmed. "Now he knows," she whispered. And the entire empire felt the shift of a future that belonged to both of them.